all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
I forgot what we were doing. I forgot what I normally say. Hello and welcome to History for Weirdos.
We're your hosts, Andrew
and Stephanie.
And each week, we're going to take you on a journey into the strange, obscure, and relentlessly entertaining corners of human history.
Now listen up, friends, because it's about to get weird. Welcome back, weirdos. We are here with another episode of History for Weirdos, episode 31.
Yes, episode number 31. Woohoo!
Happy New Year!
And Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you guys had a great and safe New Year.
Yes.
No one got COVID.
Hopefully.
And hopefully, crossing my fingers for y'all, and hopefully it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that 2022 is gentle with us all.
Right. I know in 2022, it's the second day, and I've almost died.
That's true.
This morning.
This morning.
Because of our dog and mascot of the show, Stella, I ran into the street because she got loose from her harness, and it was a busy street. And
she darted into a very busy intersection here in LA,
yes.
And Andrew, without thinking, just darted after her, and the two of them almost perished before my eyes.
Yes. So it's been an interesting start to the new year.
Yeah, we got a nice adrenaline rush at the start of this year.
I'm literally in the middle of the street. I know, I'm still traumatized. Middle of the street, yelling Stella, like,
'cause that's her name.
Because that's her name.
Like a streetcar named Desire. He's literally like his hands like shaking in the air. Stella.
I mean, I completely just lost control of myself.
Yeah.
I don't remember me doing it. I just know that I did do it, though.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds.
And that's how we started our new year. We hope that you all had a sweeter, softer, more relaxing start to the new year. And I'm very grateful that both Stella and Andrew are still here with us, because then it would have been really hard to do the episode without him, because it was his week.
Right, I know.
To go.
I don't think you could have done this.
No.
You wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been ready, so thank you for not perishing.
Right, these are the more important things, right? History for Weirdos, not my life. Okay.
So tell me, who or what shall you be regaling us with this week?
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
When you think of the typical pirate, you know, who or what do you think of?
I think of Wesley from The Princess Bride, where he's the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Okay. I'm thinking more of like, real, along the lines of reality.
Okay, that was harsh. Like Redbeard, right?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard?
I think there was a Redbeard, to be fair to you, but Blackbeard is far more famous.
Oh, okay, Blackbeard.
Yeah.
That's who I meant.
Yeah, that's how you meant. Yeah, definitely.
You have to coach me next time on what to say when you ask these questions.
I know, I got you on the spot.
I went off.
I know, that's a little embarrassing. Okay, but anyways, so in my notes, I'm like, when you think of the most prolific pirate ever, Blackbeard usually comes to mind. Well, the candidate whom I would put forward as the most prolific pirate of all time would be a woman, first of all, named Zheng Yi, or also known as Zheng Yi Sao, a Chinese former prostitute and widow.
What?
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yes, she is badass.
So this is a pirate episode?
This is a pirate episode.
Oh my god, an ex-sex worker turned pirate?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And I'm pretty sure she was also a madam as well.
How did you... Darn, I'm so jealous that you found this one.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Oh my gosh, well please tell us more.
Yes, absolutely. So, and listeners, you heard me correctly. A prostitute, sex worker, turned madam, turned wife of a pirate, turned pirate empress, essentially.
Holy smokes.
to like wrap it up in like, one sentence. Kind of insane. Also, before I even, get ahead of myself, I just want to take a look into her backstory.
Yes.
Just to give, I think it gives you guys a little bit of context as well as you. From now on, I'm also going to refer to her as Zheng Yi Sao because she's known by many names, including Qing Shi, which is also one that she went by often. But the one she's most often known by is Zheng Yi Sao. And ironically, though, it translates to wife of Zheng Yi.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we'll get into that, obviously, later. Not much is known about her origins, of course.
Right. That's so common for the everyday people throughout history.
Right. Like
their stories don't get recorded.
They never get recorded. We just know that she was born in 1775.
Okay.
Actually, a pretty prolific year for American history as well.
Yeah.
And she was born in the Canton province of Guangdong, located in southern China on the coast of the South China Sea.
Okay.
And also, I just want to give a heartfelt apology to any Chinese listeners. I'm going to be butchering these names.
The effort
But I'm
is good.
trying my absolute best. And I even did look up some proper ways to pronounce these names. But I mean, I don't know Chinese, so it's gonna be.
I feel you. I should have done that for the Elizabeth Bathory episode. I thought I could handle it. I was like, I could figure this out, but no.
This is a language I know literally nothing about, so this is gonna be a little bit brutal, and I apologize in advance to y'all. But we do know, though, she was born in 1775, and she was born into what we call today as extreme poverty. Most likely, her family, including her, were Tonkas, which roughly translates to boat people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Tonkas, it's interesting. Tonkas were a Sinicized ethnic group who mostly lived on junks, which were a certain type of Chinese ship. It's not like I'm saying it's junk, it's trash. It literally is called a junk.
I didn't know that. I've never heard that term before.
It's they're this Chinese ship. Really interesting, actually. I'll get into it in just a second. And they were known, the Tonkas were known as sea gypsies, actually, funny enough.
What?
Yeah, to both the Chinese and British later on.
So it's an ethnic group of what is directly translated as boat people.
Right, and they're like, it's hard to explain, but essentially, like, they were a ethnic group who were Sinicized, so that means they became, like, Chineseified, for lack of a better word.
Oh, I mean,
that
see
is
what you're
Sinicized,
saying.
I guess. That is the better word.
Oh,
but just, so they became more like Chinese.
Engulfed in the Chinese culture and ethnic group?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, the Chinese culture. But yeah, they were a separate ethnic group.
Wow, that's so cool.
I mean, kind of like Russia. There's, I think, within China specifically, we often think of them like, that sounds so bad, but we often think of like a big country like that as like, almost like one solid block, but it's made up of hundreds of different ethnic groups.
Of course. Yeah,
and
Russia's a really good another example as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's important to remember.
Yeah, exactly. So they were not part of like the Chinese like kind of national identity. They were separate. They were known as outsiders. They were seen as outsiders.
Wow.
As like barbarians, for lack of a better term.
That's crazy.
Right. And barbarians, there will be a couple, not to give any spoilers, but the barbarians come into play later as well.
Ooh, exciting.
And it's just the reason why I wanted to tell you all this is it's important for context to give a little bit into Zheng Yi Sao, like her, like the way she, I guess, presents herself, and the way she's raised.
That's so cool.
Also, I kind of want to give just a moment to junk ships because they're pretty interesting themselves.
And again, giving a moment to junk ships
because I mean they're really cool. Also, first of all, and I cannot stress this enough. I'm not saying that they're trashed. They literally are called junks. By the year 1800, they had already been around for centuries, which is kind of cool, and they were still being used. They could transport up to 800 tons of cargo and could hold up to 40 cannons.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. They also didn't have a keel, which is like the bottom portion of a boat, and had a retractable rudder, which means that they could sail into more shallow waters to attack docked ships or just escape more easily in general.
That's really cool.
Yeah. They also held littler boats that had swivel cannons that could be used for stealth attacks.
So extremely versatile.
Very versatile. Really good for pirating.
Yes.
So let's get back to Zheng Yi Sao, or Cheng Shi. At some point, we know that she becomes a sex worker and is probably also a madam. Again, we know like next to nothing beyond that. And it's mainly through this work, though, that around the turn of the century in 1800, she meets a man by the name of Zheng Yi. So obviously, spoilers. Yeah, I gave a little spoilers earlier. We don't know really anything about the romance that would unfold, but we know that they would marry the following year in 1801.
Okay.
Yeah. They also would have 2 kids together.
Oh.
Yeah, and she would become a stepmom to Zheng Yi's adopted son, Zheng Bao.
Okay. It's a fun little pirate family.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no.
The real... The relationship between Zheng Yi and Zheng Bao was complicated.
Why?
You can... If you think of... Ironically, there's a couple themes here that can be tied to, the ancient world. This is unfortunately one of them. You can think of the lines, the adopted son was more of like, instead of, adopted son, you could translate that to like, the ancient Spartan way of an older male taking on a younger man under his wing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
No.
And he was 15 when he first...
Why?
Yeah, I don't like that. But
so they
it wasn't uncommon at the time, unfortunately.
So her husband and his adopted son had a physical relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah, and that's...
And how did she feel about that? Do we know?
We don't know.
Okay.
I
wonder if it was common practice.
It didn't... Let's just say this, not to give too many spoilers, but it wasn't a deal breaker for her.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say for now, because I don't want to get into it anymore. So, eventually she would trade the industry of sex work for that of piracy.
Very cool.
I think it's an upgrade, but I think it's also kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more, physically grueling as well, but in a different way. I feel like it's a nice change of pace, probably.
Yeah, this was a very interesting episode. Zheng Yi Sao is definitely a weirdo in a lot of senses. I mean, you'll say good now, but we'll...
You keep teasing really horrible things. Just get on with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to move on, guys. So, Zheng Yi, the husband, was a pirate who fought as a privateer for the Vietnamese Tay Son dynasty in the Tay Son Wars against Qing China. In these events, it's important to know that he was a part of a fleet of ships, not just the captain of one ship, a la Captain Jack Sparrow of the Black Pearl.
Oh my God, that's who I should have mentioned.
Yeah, that's who you should have mentioned, by the way, earlier.
I think Wesley as Dread Pirate Roberts is a good one. Listeners, you let me know what you think.
Yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow. And
also a very good one. Yeah. Very good one.
By the way, guys, Captain Jack Sparrow, not a real person from the Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, we're a history podcast. I like to throw in some pop culture references here and there, but important to, distinguish pop culture from reality.
I feel like that was really harsh, and I don't even know what to say to you, so just keep going.
I'm going to keep going. Okay. Long story short, the Tay Son dynasty fell, and Zheng Yi booked it back to the southern Chinese coast.
Okay.
Along the South China Sea. A sort of a civil war, I guess, happened amongst the different fleets of pirates, but eventually they all coalesced into one confederation of sorts and split into different sub-fleets, denoted by different colors.
Okay.
So they were the Red Fleet, but there was also the White Fleet, the Black Fleet, the Purple Fleet, etc.
And they were a confederation. They were working
together. So
they
technically were kind of separate,
but
they all kind of somewhat reported up the chain to Zheng Yi.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't
really
official, like in an official capacity, but it was a semi-official capacity.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. The numbers here are staggering.
Okay.
The Red Fleet, the fleet belonging to Zheng Yi, had at its height in 1807 around 300 junk ships.
Oh my God.
And between 20 to 40,000 men.
Oh my God. That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, the entire fleet, including, the other colors, a few years earlier in 1804, was around 400 ships strong and contained around 70,000 men. So, I think in 1807, when the fleets were at its height, it could have been, I mean, I don't know, like a few hundred ships more than that.
These pirates
maybe
were
100,000 men. I don't know.
They
It's
were kicking
insane.
ass.
Yeah, I mean, they literally commanded a navy.
Yeah, that's it.
It's
they
a
had their
navy.
own navy.
Yeah, like that's what it was. In 1807, after bearing 2 children, though, the marriage between Zheng Yi and Zheng Yi Sao would end, unfortunately.
Okay, why did it amicably?
Not necessarily. Oh, I mean, sort of, I guess, but through necessity because Zheng Yi fell overboard during a storm and drowned.
So the marriage didn't end, babe.
I know. I just wanted to throw you off. I'm sorry, listeners.
separated.
I know. I just felt like I had to put that in
He
there. I
got
don't know
thrown
why.
overboard or he fell overboard?
No, he fell overboard during a
Okay.
storm.
Oh.
Some accounts say he died during action,
Okay.
but it possibly could have even been a combination of the two, right?
Right. There was a skirmish
storm.
going on during a storm. He fell over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other commanders, obviously there's a vacancy.
Yeah.
There's a vacancy. The other commanders of the colored fleets, though, named Zheng Yi Sao as a successor because she was capable, it seems like, and revered.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
She must have been extremely well liked for a
Yes.
group of what I imagine predominantly men.
Yes.
Like by far, to have elected her into this position.
And you know what? I didn't say this earlier, but ironically enough, you know how I mentioned Captain Jack Sparrow?
Yeah.
She was in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, or a version of her.
Yeah.
We don't know, and there were no descriptions of what she looked like.
Oh wow.
Weird, huh?
That's so weird because whenever, not every time, but very often when women are noted in history, the first things noted are their looks.
Yeah, and we don't know anything what she looked like.
Wow. So they really liked her.
They liked her. They respected her.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
In which parts of the Caribbean movie do you remember?
At World's End, there is
I don't know if I saw that one.
It's the scene where they're all all the pirates are kind of in a congregation.
Oh yeah.
And you see a Chinese woman, and
Yeah.
that's
That's
her.
supposed to be
That's
her?
supposed to be her.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she was
Let's
a badass.
go watch it.
Yeah, we'll watch it. Yeah, maybe we'll skip work tomorrow. Just kidding. If you're listening to this, boss.
Not skipping work.
Not skipping work. So she's named the successor, right?
Yeah.
And now, before we get into the absolute insanity that would be the next 3 years, I want to take a look at what the pirates under Zheng Yi Sao actually did and what their code of conduct was.
They had a code of conduct.
Yes, they
Like parlay.
kind of, I guess, but they didn't go into that portion. I actually did some research into this specifically.
That's so cool.
But yeah, they had a legit code of conduct, and it wasn't oh, loosey goosey. It was very serious. Most of the things, if you broke, you would either, best case scenario, if you broke a code, you would get your ear chopped off.
Okay.
A lot of the times you'd get beheaded. So they took this fairly seriously.
That's not a good best case scenario usually.
Yeah.
Best case scenario,
you know what?
you're grounded.
Right. Let's get into the code, shall we?
Yes.
So it was unusual for the time because of the way they were to treat female captives, funny enough.
Okay.
No, but in a good way.
Okay.
So if a pirate were to, let's say, rape, I can't, I don't know what the other word is for it, a captured woman, he would instantly be put to death.
As he should be.
Yes.
I like it.
But even more strangely, if they, let's say, a pirate had consensual sex with a prisoner, maybe they're onto something here, but both the male pirate and the female captive would be executed.
So they were very equal in their treatment of people.
Yes. Very egalitarian, I suppose.
Wow. These are really, obviously very harsh.
Right.
But almost in a weird way, very progressive, I guess, for their time.
Yeah, in a
think
very
about.
strange way.
Yeah, not condoning killing ever, but that's nuts that they... Also, how strange that they would punish consensual sex.
Yeah, maybe because of that power dynamic. Maybe they're onto something, right?
Oh, yeah, but then to punish the captive as well.
Yeah, that one was weird.
That's so weird.
That one I thought was a little strange, but
I would love to ask them why.
It was perfectly normal for a pirate to take a female captive as a wife.
Okay.
That was fine. But he would have to remain faithful to her. That was
God.
non-negotiable. I didn't see what the punishment was if they weren't, but a lot of what the captains would do, since they were higher up in the hierarchy,
right,
they could get around this by essentially just having multiple wives.
The rules are always different for the people at the top.
They really are.
It goes all the way to the top.
It goes all the way to the top.
That's so weird. So, whatever.
You're just like, whatever, okay.
Yeah,
so
I should have expected something like that.
That was one portion of the code of conduct, but besides the treatment of women, it also concerned the sharing of booty.
Okay.
And I mean, not like booty as in a gluteus maximus.
No, but in the pirate way.
In the pirate way, exactly.
Pirate's booty.
Pirate's booty.
An amazing snack.
Also an amazing snack. This is not an ad for it, by the way.
No.
So all captured items were to be distributed equally amongst everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, even amongst the captains and even Zheng Yi Sao.
What?
Yeah, pretty intense, honestly. So also, if any pirate was found giving orders, outside of his or her rank, they would be instantly subjected to beheading.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, this code was, needless to say, very strict, and straying from the code was not necessarily a good idea.
What an interesting code. I wonder if there was like a big meeting where they all sat down and decided on this, or if it like happened a little bit over time. Mm-hmm. Like some guy was, giving orders out of rank and he was just really annoying, so they beheaded him, and then they're like, gosh, I guess now we have to do it to everyone.
It's possible.
I'm really curious. I would love to ask them so many questions about these rules.
Maybe let's go back in time and ask her.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You'd have to know Chinese, though. We don't know Chinese.
Son of a... Okay. Add it to the list.
Add it to the list of...
things to do.
I'm having trouble learning Spanish. I think Chinese is out of the question. So let's look at their activities. So what did they do to earn money, right?
When they weren't getting beheaded, what did they do?
So they would mainly prey upon merchant vessels and would capture cargo. That was the main source of revenue.
Okay, for merchants.
Cargo would include gold, silver, silk, spices, porcelain, tea, and cotton.
Damn, I like all of those things.
All those things. Cotton, I mean, cotton's important, but
That's the least exciting.
Yeah, but...
Make some nice undies, though.
I mean, that's true.
Some nice breathable undergarments.
I also like the gold and silver.
Silk? That's nice.
Silk's pretty cool, too.
That's nice. Tea?
Yeah. Silk
I love
is
tea.
legit. I mean, even the Romans love silk.
Yeah.
Ancient Romans love silk.
Yeah, they were like, this is nice.
This is nice. So, yeah, silk was very important. It has been important in, Chinese culture for literally thousands of years.
Yeah.
But they would, essentially take this cargo and then sell it to merchants along the coast.
They'd steal it from the merchants and then sell it
to
back
other merchants.
to merchants?
Yeah.
Oh, what a hustle, man.
It was a hustle. So, and if the ship was foreign, get this too. Those were if Chinese ships.
Okay.
If the ship was foreign, they would do the same thing, but then also capture people and ransom them off.
Wow.
Yeah.
They were very well organized pirates, though.
Yeah, I mean, they literally had a navy. It was not
and they had rules, and they had standard operating procedures.
Right.
How interesting.
You know what? It also didn't even stop there.
Oh my God.
Yes. Similar to mobsters in the U.S. during the 20th century, they would demand protection money, quote unquote, from local merchants for safe passage through the fleet.
So a more passive income source for them.
Passive income, exactly.
These dudes and ladies were smart.
They were very smart.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and since the fleet was literally hundreds of ships, that was, that protection money went pretty far. Wow. Yeah. And the fleets would also raid and even literally take over coastal towns, with counter raids from Chinese authorities mostly being futile.
Of course, because they ran deep. Geez. Exactly.
So the fleets, had essentially at its height in 1807 had pretty much their own state, right? And they ruled a pretty fairly large portion of the South China Seas. Oh my God. Pretty awesome, for them at least.
For them.
For them, yeah. So let's just take take a little detour, or I guess not a detour, go away from the detour and go back to the main narrative.
Yes, tell
of
us.
Zheng Yi Sao.
How's our girl doing?
So shortly after her husband's death, she entered into a relationship with her stepson,
Oh, man.
Zheng Bao.
Son of a nutcracker.
Yeah, this guy is literally like,
Oh,
I mean, this
God.
is straight up, like, I'm surprised there hasn't been an adult movie based off this.
I'm sure there has. Listeners, do not look it up.
I don't know. Please don't. There's just so much wrong here. I
That
literally
is-
wrote that in my notes. There's so much wrong here.
So she took her late husband's job and his lover
Yeah, slash stepson.
/ stepson. Okay. I understand.
It really...
What's happening. I don't understand why.
Yeah, but I'm just going to kind of gloss over that.
Okay, let's gloss over
I don't think it's important.
It's not important.
It's not important. But what was important is that he became her second in command, because he was also very competent.
I'm sure
And-
he's spent a lot of time with some great leaders.
Yeah, and between the two of them, they essentially ruled the fleets, right? So in the following year, in 1808, Zheng Bao attacked a Chinese fleet of 35 ships and destroyed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, I mean, again, like, they were a navy. Like,
Yeah.
they destroyed other navies. You know, a month later, he engaged another fleet and destroyed it yet again. And what's crazy is that by this point, that provincial fleet of the Chinese provincial fleet was, knocked in half. So they essentially like became, warlords of entire regions of China at this point.
It's incredibly impressive.
Yeah. But they also gained access to the Pearl River and hundreds to possibly thousands of miles of inland river access.
Wow. Oh, could the junk boats go in rivers?
Yeah, because they could go into
The shallower
waters.
Wow.
So they were, and they had 40 freaking cannons on them.
Right, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. The
Coming down
following
the river.
1809, the following year, was just nuts. An imperial fleet of around 100 ships under the command of, and I'm going to butcher this, Sun Quanmao, attacked a small group of pirates who immediately called for the aid of Zheng Yi Sao. She formulated a plan of attack with her subordinates and essentially attacked from all sides, with her personally charging into the fray with her infamous Red Fleet. Once they had been blocked off and
Yeah.
flanked, she kind of just gave the kill shot.
That's so cool.
And you know what's nuts about this too? This is the same tactic that was used over 2,000 years prior by Alexander the Great.
Really?
Yes, but on horseback instead of, with
okay.
his infamous cavalry charge. So, like, what they would do is, like, they'd kind of, he did this against the Persians. Like, they would draw out the famous Battle of Gaugamela. Like, he drew out, like, his forces. And then once he saw, like, an opening in the line, he just charged straight ahead with him. And, with him, like, at the spear point, essentially, of that charge. And Zheng Yi Sao did the same thing.
That's so cool.
But on ships.
Over
2,000 years later.
That's incredible.
I know, isn't that nuts? I don't know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it echoes itself.
It echoes itself, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I was like, oh my god, that was the first thing I thought when I read that. I was like, oh my god.
That's so cool. What a cool connection to make.
Yeah, so she was obviously like pretty gifted, even militarily, or
Yeah.
at least in a in a naval capacity,
Yeah.
right?
She was very strategic.
Very strategic.
It wasn't just like, oh, she's really nice, we like her, and she was, his
Right.
late wife. Like, she's really, really good at this.
Yeah, and they routed the Chinese fleet of over 100 ships, and which was, probably an incredible victory for the pirates.
I'm so impressed.
Yeah, like, they are taking on, like, national fleets.
This is incredible. Obviously,
Yeah.
again, we're not like condoning crime and
No,
warlords and stuff like that, and they're doing a lot of messed up stuff. But just from a historical perspective, this is insanely impressive.
Like, they were brutal, and
Yeah.
in a period of like just a couple of months, they killed at least 10,000 villagers along the Chinese coast. So, like, I don't want to necessarily say like they're good people, right? Like,
Right.
they were not, but it's still badass. Like Great Genghis Khan, like one of the most badass leaders of all time. Like, he literally like killed so many people that carbon emissions dropped. Like, the
Yeah.
first like eco-terrorist, maybe.
Wow.
But anyways, like, he's still badass. Like, she is badass, but like, not I wouldn't necessarily call them good people.
No, it's badass, and like, this is insanely impressive.
Right, exactly.
This is nuts, and I'm also so surprised. I guess not. I was educated in America. I'm so surprised I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I know. Freaking American educational system.
This is, just to think about it, like, is blowing my mind.
Right?
That's crazy. I'm so glad you shared this story.
I know. When I researched this, I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever, like.
It sounds like a movie. That's what it is. It doesn't sound like it's real life.
No, it doesn't. Like, this is insane. It really needs to be. If it hasn't been made into a movie yet, it should be. Mm-hmm. At least I don't think it's been made into like a major, like, English speaking production.
Yeah.
Maybe in China it has been made into a movie, but obviously I haven't seen it.
We'll look it up.
So this fortune, though, however, was not to last. Okay. Later in the year, in 1809, the White Fleet. Mm-hmm. Remember how I said that there's different colors? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the White Fleet was destroyed. To a massive imperial fleet.
Wow.
And but the thing is, the White Fleet, like, didn't go out without a fight. Mm-hmm. They took out a substantial part of that Chinese imperial fleet and even killed a brigadier general in the process.
Oh wow. So they really went down swinging.
They weren't going to go out with, without a whimper.
Yeah.
They didn't go out with a whimper, excuse me.
With a bang.
They went out with a bang. Mm-hmm. There we go. I don't know. Yeah, I can't talk right now. But so I also want to say, like, they were badasses. They weren't Robin Hoods.
Right.
But again, they were badasses.
And that really interesting to learn about.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to live with them, but learning about them, super cool.
Yeah. I maybe would hang out with them for like...
They promise not to hurt me.
Yeah. But definitely not live with them. You're right.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't put this in my notes, but there was an Englishman who was captured by them and spent like 4, I think, months like learning from her specifically. She was his captive, and
he was her captive.
Yeah, he was her captive. Excuse me. And he said, like, quarters were cramped and it was like disgusting, everything. But
of course,
like, besides that, he was treated pretty well, and like he was like in shock at how well organized they were.
That's nuts. Did he live?
Yeah, he lived.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they ransomed him off, and he lived the rest of his life.
Strategy.
Yeah, yeah. So what's crazy is that eventually, like, the Chinese like couldn't handle this, and they're like, shit, we need help.
Yeah.
And so they turned to what they called barbarians for help.
Okay.
Barbarians being the Portuguese.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We got to ask the barbarians to come in.
Yeah, I know. That's just such a thing in history, is like everyone who's other is just barbarian.
Anyone who's not us.
I know.
Yeah.
So the Portuguese controlled Macau at the time, which is an island.
Yes.
By Hong Kong in the South China Sea. To summarize a very complicated series of events, Zheng Yi Sao essentially beat back a combined Sino-Portuguese fleet. So Chinese-Portuguese ships working together, beat them back, didn't lose a single ship in the process.
What?
I think only had like 40 men killed total. And then, she had a much smaller fleet and destroyed I think a few. They were basically being blockaded, and she beat the blockade and destroyed a few of their ships in the process without losing a single of her ships.
This is nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. However, though, end of the year, things are not looking great. So the commander of the Black Fleet essentially rebelled against the Confederation.
These other fleets aren't getting their shit together. The Red Fleet is killing it.
Red Fleet's killing it. White Fleet is like, we out, we dead.
Oh my God. And
Black Fleet is like, no.
Rambunctious.
Rambunctious rascals. So he rebelled, and he technically won, I guess, like a single engagement. I'm not sure if Zheng Yi Sao was actually there, but like it was a very close, very close victory. And he saw, the writing on the wall, and so he was like, well, I guess the only thing to do now is surrender to authorities, and so which he did in January of 1810. And this is important, he received a full pardon.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah, he received a full pardon by the Chinese government. And, perhaps, seeing that her days were also numbered, Zheng Yi Sao also sought a pardon.
I guess. She didn't get one.
No, she did.
Oh, yay!
On April 20th, 1810, her life of piracy officially came to an end. and she and the remaining portion of her confederation surrendered to Chinese authorities, and they all received a full pardon.
These are people that, like you said, literally destroyed entire villages.
Literally,
and
yes.
they were just so happy to get them out of the seas. They were like, yeah, sure, you guys, just pardon. Just leave us alone.
They were paid. They were pardoned. They even, get this, she and Zheng Bao were also allowed to maintain a small fleet.
No!
And ironically, guess what their mandate from the Chinese government was?
Were they like cops or something?
Anti-piracy, like, fleets.
Oh my god. It's like those stories of like the teenage kid that like hacks the CIA, so then the CIA hires him.
Yeah, that's literally like kind of what happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So she gets a full pardon. And like her confederation, like, they had like, I didn't write this down, like the full accounting, but like when she surrendered, she still had tens of thousands of men. It was way less than the 70s she had, like, at her height. But she was in, direct or like indirect command of like almost 20,000 men. Like, I forgot, like 100 ships or something. Don't quote me on all these figures, but it was a lot, like an absurd amount of cannons, a lot of provisions. So she gives up most of that. They get to keep, full, clean slate. They get to keep, a few dozen ships or whatever. Mm-hmm. They do this. Engage in anti-piracy, and she would live for another 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but like living somewhat, illegal life, right? She still engaged in smuggling operations, because of course, you're a pirate. Like, she chilled out a little bit, but like, she smuggled, and then she also ran a gambling house.
Wow.
Yeah.
She was not straight edge.
Yeah, and she even married Zheng Bao.
What?
Her stepson.
Right, her stepson / her dead husband's ex-lover. Got it.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite part of the story.
And she had a son with him.
No!
Yes.
It got worse.
So she ended up having like 3 kids. 2 with, Zheng Yi.
Her first husband.
Yeah, first husband, and then one was Zheng Bao. So...
Wow.
That was the absolute insane life of Zheng Yi Sao.
She, like, insane. I can't even speak, like, who lives a life like that? And who commits atrocities and then is like, here's a reward.
I know.
Don't be too bad.
Imagine, like, I can't imagine the U.S. government doing something like that right now. I mean, maybe back in, like, the 19th century and all, again, like,
yeah.
And also, I can't imagine the Chinese government doing that now either.
No. The world is so different, but
yeah.
How incredible to think about. It literally sounds like a movie.
It does. It literally does.
That's nuts. What a cool story.
I know, right? I loved researching about this, because it doesn't seem real. Like, this sounds like it's a joke. Like, someone was just like messing with me. Mm-hmm. But no, this is real.
And the ending that they were like, we will also hire you.
Yeah. So they gave them a ton of, like, everyone received a lot of money, like, and also pork randomly.
Okay, right.
Because as one does. Yeah, but then, like, yeah, everyone just got to kind of like
a bunch of money and pork.
I mean, people like could like a lot of the ex-pirates ironically enlisted into the Chinese Navy.
I think it's just like
like, it's incredible.
You know what it is? I feel like people that love the sea and love living at sea just cannot imagine a life without it.
Yeah, I think I read that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned on this podcast before. Both sides of my family are big in the Navy, in the U.S. and Mexican Navy, and that's just the sense that I get from them as well. Like, it's so hard to walk away from that life.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm not like that. I get seasick very easily.
We were in Cabo a few weeks ago, and you got seasick.
Yeah, we went whale watching, and I got a little seasick.
Well, whereas I'm just like drinking my wine and like eating my cheese and crackers and just dancing. Literally.
Yes, yeah,
literally.
It was lovely. I'm so glad you brought that up again. But yeah, so it doesn't surprise me that they were like, well, we still have to live this way.
Right.
It also feels very adventurous, very free. Even if they're in the Navy, I feel like it must have felt a little like anarchistic. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like the rules don't apply when you're out at sea, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That's incredible.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Thank you so much for sharing this story.
Absolutely. And before I forget, and before people make fun of me yet again, I need to list my sources.
Go for it.
So, first of all, we have worldhistory.org. Great website. Also, the Tempest.co.
Okay.
I've never used them before, but they had some interesting stuff to say about her.
I'd imagine that's a lot of sea history.
Yes.
Or sea stories.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Atlas Obscura. I've used
Oh,
them.
yeah.
They're great.
They are great.
Queen Anne's Revenge Project, as you can imagine, is very heavily focused on piracy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What a cool website
Really
name.
cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Queen Anne's Revenge was Blackbeard's ship, I want to say. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure.
It was either Blackbeard or Jack Sparrow. Yeah.
Jack Sparrow's Black Pearl.
Oh, right.
And of course, Wikipedia,
Same old stuff.
Same old.
Well,
but,
thank you for sharing the story of, let me see if I can say her name correctly, Zheng Yi Sao.
Yeah.
And we won't mention Zhang Bao, but I just did.
But I just did. Well, yes. And listeners, I hope you guys enjoyed the story because I loved telling it to y'all.
Very cool. Please let us know if you had heard of Zheng Yi Sao before, because I had not. Had you heard it before the research?
Actually, yes, I had.
Oh, wow.
I heard about her, God, I think in college.
That's incredible. I have never heard of her. So this was really cool. I learned so much.
Awesome.
This was very informative.
Excellent.
Thank you.
That makes me feel happy.
Yeah.
Actually. Yes.
And thank you all for listening to another episode of History for Weirdos.
Absolutely.
Do not forget to rate, review, subscribe, all the fun stuff to help us grow. You can check us out on Instagram. We're not incredibly active, but we're trying to get more active. That's a big resolution of ours this year. So check us out at History for Weirdos.
History for Weirdos.
And you can always email us at historyforweirdos@gmail.com.
Exactly.
And we will see you all next week.
See y'all next week. And one more plug.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see ancient history.
Yes.
I have my TikTok, and I haven't posted in a while, but, part of the New Year's resolutions is getting back into the swing of things, and that's going to change. Pretty much daily updated videos on anything from, Neolithic to the fall of ancient Rome.
Yeah, ancient history TikTok at Roma Omnia.
Boom, thank you. That was a way better way of saying it. All right, until next time, guys.
Thanks, weirdos.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
On Instacart, I can shop a huge selection of pet supplies, from that one brush that scratches him just right, to that extra comfy bed he can't wait to flop down in. And I get everything delivered right to my door in as fast as 1 hour. Okay, settle down. I know it's here. Yes, very exciting. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get a free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.